More than 1,000 years ago, in the fertile lands of South India, rose one of the greatest empires in history, the mighty Chola Empire. From the southern shores of Elam to distant lands across the seas, their ships sailed across vast oceans, their armies marched across kingdoms, and their temples rose high, touching the sky. It was an age of courage, of ambition and political intrigue, where love blossomed in silence, where rage burned in wounded hearts, where betrayal shattered trust, and revenge waited patiently in the shadows. At the heart of this powerful empire unfolds a story of princes and warriors, of loyalty and deception, of destiny that would change a kingdom forever. This is the world of Ponniyin Selvan.
On the evening of the 18th day of the month of Adi, a young warrior was riding a horse on the banks of the Veera Narayana lake, which was as wide as an ocean of waves. He belonged to the Vanar clan, famous in the heroic history of Tamil Nadu. His name was Vallavarayan Vandiyathevan. His horse, which had travelled a long distance and was tired, was walking slowly. The young warrior did not worry about it. The appearance of the vast Veera Narayana lake had captivated his soul so much. Vandiyathevan reached the southern tip of the Veera Narayana lake. There he saw the Vadavaru, which had separated from the North Kaveri, entering the lake. The interior of the lake was a basin for a short distance from the lake shore. In order to prevent damage to the shore when the flood came and hit it, oak and willow trees had been planted in that basin. Reeds had grown thickly along the shore. The view of the flood of the Vadavar River, coming from the southwest with a line of trees on both sides and merging into the lake, when viewed from a distance, looked like a beautiful painting of colors. Vandiyathevan saw some other scenes there that added to the sweetness and excitement of this beautiful sight. Wasn't it the 18th day of the Pirukku festival? People from the neighboring villages were coming there in droves, pulling carts tied with ivory-colored coconut leaves. Men, women, children, and even some elderly people had come wearing new clothes and various decorations. The women's hair was decorated with bunches of flowers such as talembu, sevanti, jasmine, mullai, iruvakshi, chenpagam, etc. Many families had come with kootanchurum and chitrannam. Some stood by the water's edge on the lake bank and ate the chitrannam, etc. by putting them in their mouths. Some brave souls walked a short distance in the water, reached the northern bank, and ate standing there. Some children threw the kamuku bats they had eaten along the banks of the river, and they laughed as they saw the bats falling through the banks and running out of the lake. Some of the rowdy men, unbeknownst to them, took the flowers that were in their girlfriend's hair and left them on the bank of the river, enjoying the sight of them running to the other side of the lake. Vallavarayan stood there for a while, watching all this. An old woman noticed Vandiyathevan, who was still watching from his horse. "Brother, you seem to have come a long way. You are tired. Get down from your horse and eat some kootanchur," she said. Many young girls looked at our young man Vandiyathevan. They talked to each other in secret about his appearance and laughed heartily. Vandiyathevan was seized with shame on one side and joy on the other. To Vandiyathevan's young eyes, all the girls standing on the bank of the lake appeared to be Arambai and Menakai. But at the same time, a sight that appeared in the southwest direction, in the current of the Vadavatara, made him hesitate a little. 7 or 8 large boats with white mats spread out, like swans floating on the water with their white wings spread out, were rushing by the upper wind. All the people who were engaged in various kinds of revelry on the bank of the lake began to look eagerly in the direction of the boats. One of the boats came ahead of all the others and reached the corner where the bank of the lake turned north. There were many noble warriors in that boat, carrying sharp, bright sails. Some of them jumped down onto the shore of the lake and, looking at the people there, chased them away, saying, "Go, go!" Vandiyathevan did not understand anything. Who were these warriors? Who were coming in the boats with the sails spread behind them? Where were they coming from? Perhaps they were members of the royal family? Vallavariyan approached an elder standing on the bank of the lake with a staff in his hand. "Sir, who do these warriors belong to? Whose are the boats like the Annakuttam coming behind them? Why are these warriors chasing the people away? Why are the people rushing?" he asked, asking questions. "Brother, don't you know what? There's a flag flying in the middle of those boats." "Look what's written on it," said the elder. "It looks like a palm tree." "Palm tree? Don't you know that the palm tree flag is the flag of Paruvettariyar?" "Is Mahaveerar Paruvettariyar coming?" asked Vandiyathevan in a startled voice. "That's how it should be. Who else could come carrying the palm tree flag?" said the elder. Vallavarayan had heard a lot about Paruvettariyar. Who could not have heard of him? From Elam in the south to Kalinga in the north, the names of the elder and younger Paruvettariyar, who were brothers, were famous. Their city was Paruvur, on the north bank of the North Kaveri near Urayur. The Paruvettariyar clan had been famous for its bravery since the time of Vijayalaya Chola. The members of that family had been trading and exchanging gifts with the Chola royal family. Because of this, and because of their lineage and bravery, the Paruvettariyar clan had acquired all the privileges of a royal clan. The clan also had the right to hoist its own flag. The elder of the two present Paruvettariyar was involved in 24 wars. He is renowned as the greatest warrior of his time in the Chola kingdom. Now that he is over 50, he does not go to the battlefields in person, but he held many very high positions in the Chola government. He was the Tanathikari of the Chola Empire. The Tanyadikari and the Tanya Bandaram were under his authority. He had the power to impose and collect taxes according to the needs of politics. He had the right to order and collect any petty king, chieftain, or large resident. How much should I give this year? Therefore, Paruvettariyar is now the most powerful person in the Chola Empire after Sundara Chola Maharaja. The desire to see such a great warrior endowed with unlimited strength and power, the great Paruvettare, welled up in Vandiyathevan's heart. But at the same time, he remembered the message that Prince Aditya Karikalar had told him privately in the new golden palace of Kanchi city. "Vandiyathevan, I know very well that you are a true warrior. Also, believing that you are a good scholar, I entrust this great responsibility to you. Of the 2 leaves that I have given, one should be handed over to my father Maharaja and the other to my sister Ilaiprati. I have heard something about the great officials of the kingdom in Tanjavur. Therefore, the message I am sending must not be known to anyone. No matter how important you are, you must not be known to take a leave from me. You must not fight with anyone on the way. It is not enough if you do not go into a fight yourself. Even if others drag you into a fight, you must not get caught. I know your bravery well. You have proven it many times. So even if you withdraw from a fight that comes, you will not lose any honor. Above all, you must be very careful with the Paruvettare and my younger father Madhurantaka. They must not even know who you are. They must not know exactly why you are going." Aditya Karikalar, the crown prince of the Chola Empire and the great commander of the Northern Army, had said this. He had also read and read about the manners in which Vandiyathevan should behave. Remembering all this, Vallavaryayan suppressed his desire to see Parvetarayar. He whipped his horse and tried to go faster. No matter how much he whipped it, the tired horse moved slowly. He decided in his heart that he would stay at the Sambhavariyar mansion in Kadambur tonight, and that when he left tomorrow morning, he would have to earn another good horse and set off.
This chapter comes to an end. Please subscribe to the channel and join us for the next episode.
Hi everyone, if you enjoyed this episode, please like and share this video. Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter of Ponniyin Selvan.